That was like the thing we were talking about. Like, I feel like some people who get into the occult stuff, because a lot of it has archetypal or Jungian or Platonic stuff in it, they will have a good sense of universal patterns. They will be able to tell compelling stories about how things connect and how to undermine certain narratives, and like it's just a tool. Storytelling just becomes a tool. But you know, they can write incredibly subversive storytelling if you're good at storytelling.
Yeah, exactly. And he definitely becomes pretty subversive, especially with the Coyote Gospel.
Oh, that was one of the ones you sent me, right? That was like the Luciferian one, all encoded.
Yeah. So Grant Morrison wrote one of his earliest, or like kind of one of his breakthrough comic book stories was he was writing for Animal Man. It was like for this obscure DC hero, and they gave it to him. They're like, we like your stuff. We want to see what you do with this like B-list hero. The entire storyline itself is pretty interesting, but there's one issue called the Coyote Gospel that I think is like a really interesting example of the way he inverts traditional symbolism. It opens up like I think the first page of it is like this weird coyote creature, and he looks like a demon, and like the sun's behind him, so it looks like he has this halo, and it's in the desert. It's in like New Mexico or something. There's a truck driver, and this weird like humanoid coyote comes out of nowhere and walks in front of this truck, and he gets hit by the truck. And then there's like a sequence of it describes him just like reconstituting himself after being hit by this. He gets run over, and it's really brutal, and it describes his ribs like reconnecting and his organs coming back, and it's like the resurrection.
It has the Jesus implications for sure.
Yeah, it's like the suffering and death and resurrection. Like he describes this weird process happening, and it's kind of bizarre because it's outside of the main narrative. But then so this truck driver that hit this coyote thing ends up trying to hunt it down and kill it, and he keeps calling it like the devil, because this truck driver I think he comes back later. I think like a year goes by or something, and this truck driver has like a vendetta against this like crazy coyote demon, and so he's trying to hunt it down and kill it. There was like a whole sequence of like all this cartoony like Looney Tune violence, and it, like describing his suffering in a really graphic way. Then Animal Man shows up. He's like I said, he's this weird B-list superhero. I don't even remember exactly what his powers were, but he had some affinity with animals, and that was his thing. And the coyote it's wearing a scroll around its neck, and it gives Animal Man the scroll, and it has his whole backstory. He's from this like alternate dimension that's almost like Looney Tune world, and it describes like the cartoon world of the animals was like a world of strife and violence, and it shows like all these Looney Tune characters like murdering each other over and over again. And this brave coyote character went to confront the creator of the Looney Tune world, the god of this world, and tell him how unjust he was for creating the world like that. And he like sacrifices himself to bring peace to this strife. And he's like a cartoonist. Like you don't really see him. He's like sitting in a throne, and he has all these brushes and stuff, and he's like the god of the cartoon world. And so he banishes Crafty the coyote to the Earth realm, I guess.
Follow Lucifer reference.
Yeah, it's like this Gnostic demiurge narrative, and yeah, like a Luciferian satanic, but like he's like the rebel hero.
Yeah.
But he also is taking on this like self-sacrificial Christ-like.
Yeah, it's like a mix of
role.
the devil and the devil and Jesus.
Yeah, and so like Animal Man's reading the scroll, but I don't think he can actually read it. Like it only shows us as the reader the backstory, but I think Animal Man says like, I don't even know what this says. And while he's reading it, the truck driver's like, he's pointing a rifle, he's aiming his rifle at him, and he shoots him through the heart. And I think it even says that he had melted down like his silver cross, and he used it as the bullet to kill the coyote. And he gets shot through the heart, and he dies in a Christ pose, like on the crossroads. So like you have this imagery of him being crucified for the world, but and they even have that panel of vultures eating his organs.
Oh yeah.
And it looks exactly like Prometheus.
Oh, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, where your liver gets eaten by an eagle or something like that.
Yeah, Prometheus was the Titan who defied Zeus and stole fire from the gods to give to humanity, and he's held as like a Luciferian rebel figure in especially like in occult circles. And like the coyotes.
Oh, it's funny. Even Robert Anton Wilson has a book called Prometheus Rising.
Yeah. So this Crafty the Coyote, he's like Wile E. Coyote, but the Coyote's also like a Native American trickster god.
Yeah, totally.
And then there's Prometheus. So it has all these like satanic elements, but then it mixes them in with like...
Isn't Loki a trickster god too?
Yeah, Loki. Yeah. So yeah, you get all of this blending of satanic imagery, but with like the Christian sacrifice. And it's like, when I read it, I just had this visceral reaction to it, like it was like an Antichrist inversion, where it gives you Lucifer as this like self-sacrificial figure.
Yeah.
And it's all encoded into this like goofy superhero comic with like Looney Tune aesthetics and stuff. And it's just really bizarre the way he folded all those elements together. And I think that's like the perfect example of the kind of like inverted symbolism that he uses, like that subversive kind of reversal of traditional symbolism, religious symbolism.
Yeah, it's funny because he has to mix his kind of like occultic worldview with stuff from Christianity anyways. Because in his worldview, his occultic one, like self-sacrifice wouldn't be like a large virtue in the same way that it is in Christianity.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so.
No. But he can put in like his occultic narrative and then take parts of self-sacrifice, like from the Jesus story, and then throw it in there to have like a more powerful effect.
Yeah, and in some of his other, like in the Invisibles and stuff, he references, or he almost talks about like poets and writers as people who suffer with their art to like bring wisdom to the masses and stuff. So he almost paints himself as like this weird Luciferian, like Christ, self-sacrificial Christ, but also devil, like Charlie Manson.
Yeah.
Satan to me would be God. In other words, they talk about in the name of the Lord, we're going to say this, in the name of the Lord, we're going to say that. In the name of the Lord, if there was such a thing, you see what I'm saying? Would he be the devil?
It's just this, the way he marries these themes together. I think in the Invisibles, there's like a character who talks about like how he who would steal fire from the gods has to risk burning his fingers or something like that. Like somehow like the Luciferian rebellion is a Christ-like sacrifice.
Yeah.
And it's just really, like we've been saying, subversive and just turning everything upside down.